Have you ever watched somebody completely shut down, only for doctors to say they can't find a physical reason why? A person suddenly loses the ability to walk. Their hands begin trembling uncontrollably. Their speech slurs. They faint. They seize. They go blind. They become temporarily paralyzed. And yet, every scan comes back normal. No tumor, no stroke, no spinal injury, no neurological disease doctors can clearly point to. To outsiders, it can look confusing, suspicious even. Some people immediately assume the person is pretending, exaggerating, seeking attention. But what if the body can physically express distress, even when the tests don't show obvious damage? What if the brain itself is so overwhelmed that it begins translating emotional or psychological stress into real physical symptoms? Tonight we're talking about something deeply misunderstood, a condition that has been mocked, dismissed, misdiagnosed, and stigmatized for generations. This is conversion disorder. And for the people living with it, the symptoms are not just in their heads. They are real, very real. Conversion disorder is a neurological condition where a person experiences physical symptoms that cannot be fully explained by traditional medical testing. It is now often called Functional Neurological Symptom Disorder, or FND. The symptoms can sometimes affect movement, speech, sensation, consciousness, and even vision. Someone may suddenly lose the ability to walk, experience tremors or spasms, have seizure-like episodes, develop numbness or paralysis, lose their voice, experience blindness or deafness, struggle with coordination, collapse unexpectedly, and the terrifying part, the symptoms are real to the person experiencing them. This is not someone playing sick. This is not someone deciding to fake a disability for fun. This is not someone waking up one morning and saying, you know what would really spice up my day? Temporary paralysis. No. The brain is malfunctioning in how it sends and receives signals. Think of it like software problems instead of hardware problems. The computer exists, the wires exist, the machine is real, but the system processing the information is malfunctioning. That analogy actually helps many people understand FND better because traditional scans often look for structural damage, the hardware. But with conversion disorder, the issue is often in function, how the brain is communicating, how it processes stress, trauma, fear, emotion, or neurological signaling. And science is increasingly showing this condition is far more complex and biological than people once believed. The term conversion disorder comes from the older psychological theories. The idea was that emotional distress was somehow converted into physical symptoms. Historically, the condition was horribly misunderstood, especially for women. For centuries, people suffer from unexplained neurological symptoms were labeled hysterical, possessed, attention-seeking, dramatic, mentally unstable. Back in the 1800s and early 1900s, doctors often dismissed patients instead of studying them. Women especially were treated unfairly. If a woman had unexplained symptoms, society often blamed her emotions, hormones, or morality, which is honestly horrifying when you think about it. Imagine being unable to move your legs while everyone around you insists you're making it up. That kind of dismissal destroys people. Even today, many patients spend years trying to get answers. Some are accused of lying, some lose friends, some lose jobs, some even begin doubting themselves because they hear the same accusations over and over. People only believe suffering when they can see it. The truth is, doctors still don't fully understand every case, and that uncertainty frustrates people. Humans like simple answers. We like things neatly labeled. But the brain is incredibly complicated. Researchers believe conversion disorder can be connected to several factors: severe stress, trauma, anxiety, PTSD, emotional overload, neurological dysfunction, changes in the brain signaling, past abuse, or major life events. However, not every person with FND has obvious trauma, and that's important. Some people hear psychological component and instantly assume, oh, so it's fake. No. Stress can physically affect the body in massive ways. We already know this scientifically. Stress can raise blood pressure, trigger panic attacks, cause stomach ulcers, affect heart rhythms, suppress the immune system, cause chronic pain, and trigger migraines. The brain and body are not separate things. They constantly communicate. So when that communication system becomes disrupted, symptoms can become severe. In brain imaging studies, researchers have actually observed differences in activity and connectivity in patients with FND, meaning this condition is not simply imagined. The symptoms are happening, the suffering is happening, the fear is happening. One reason people misunderstand conversion disorder is because the symptoms can resemble major neurological illnesses. Someone may appear to be having a stroke, epilepsy, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, a spinal injury. Functional seizures, also called non-epileptic seizures, are especially misunderstood. These episodes can involve convulsions, shaking, loss of awareness, muscle stiffness, collapsing, unresponsiveness. To the outside world, it can look identical to epilepsy. But unlike epileptic seizures, the electrical activity in the brain may appear different during testing. That does not mean that the episode is fake. The body is still going through something real. The person often has no control over it, and afterward, they may feel exhausted, disoriented, embarrassed, or emotionally devastated. Imagine waking up after an episode only to hear people whispering that you're pretending. That emotional damage can become its own kind of trauma. Living with conversion disorder can be isolating, not just because of the symptoms themselves, but because of how people react to them. Invisible illnesses often force people into constant battle for validation. Some individuals with FND become afraid to leave their homes, not because they want attention, but because they fear collapsing in public, or shaking, or losing speech, or being recorded and mocked online. And unfortunately, social media has made this even worse. We live in a world where people think 30-second clips tells the whole story of someone's life. A person might see someone laughing one moment and assume they can't possibly be sick. But chronic conditions fluctuate. Some days are manageable, other days are catastrophic. Someone can smile and still be suffering. Someone can laugh and still be disabled. Someone can look normal while fighting a battle invisible to everyone around them. That is true for many illnesses, not just FND. This is probably the hardest part of the conversation. Many people struggle to believe something they cannot physically measure. If a broken bone appears on an X-ray, people understand. If a tumor appears on a scan, people understand. But when symptoms exist without obvious structural damage, skepticism appears. Part of that comes from misunderstanding neuroscience. Part comes from stigma around mental health, and part comes from fear. Because honestly, the idea that the brain can create severe physical symptoms is unsettling. People want the body to behave predictably, but the nervous system is incredibly complex. We already accepted that emotions can create physical reactions. Embarrassment makes us blush. Fear increases heart rate. Stress causes nausea. Anxiety causes shaking. So why is it suddenly impossible to believe the nervous system could create a larger physical disruption under extreme dysfunction? The truth is, medicine still has a lot to learn. And throughout history, many illnesses were once dismissed until science caught up. Treatment for conversion disorder often involves multiple approaches. There's no single magic cure, and recovery can look different for every person. Treatment may include neurological care, physical therapy, occupational therapy, psychotherapy, stress management, medications for related anxiety or depression, trauma therapy if trauma is involved. One of the most important things for patients is having a doctor who actually believes them. Because imagine trying to heal while constantly defending your reality. That's exhausting. Some people improve significantly. Some experience reoccurring episodes. Others may struggle long term. Every case is different. And one thing experts repeatedly emphasize is this: shame and hostility often worsen symptoms. Support matters, compassion matters, and understanding matters. At the center of every diagnosis is a human being. a person scared by what their own body is doing, a person who may feel trapped inside symptoms they cannot control, a person who may already feel embarrassed before anyone even has to say a word. Most people with FND are not looking for attention. If anything, many desperately wish they could just disappear from attention entirely, because being accused of faking illness changes people. It damages trust, it creates shame, and it makes people afraid to ask for help. And whether someone's illness is visible or invisible, suffering deserves compassion, not mockery, not assumptions, and not cruelty. Conversion disorder remains one of the most misunderstood conditions in modern medicine. And maybe part of that is because it forces us to confront something uncomfortable. The mind and the body are deeply connected, far more connected than many people realize. The brain is powerful, complex, fragile, and mysterious. And when something goes wrong within that system, the effect can be life-altering. So the next time someone says, "but the test came back normal," remember this. Normal scans do not always mean normal suffering. Not every illness leaves visible scars, not every disability announces itself, and not every battle can be measured by a machine. Sometimes the most devastating struggles are the ones nobody else can see. And for those living with conversion disorder, being believed can mean everything. If this video helped you better understand conversion disorder or invisible illnesses, let me know your thoughts in the comments. And remember, compassion costs nothing, but to someone suffering silently, it can mean the world. Stay curious, stay compassionate, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.